It says unable to log in remotely on a laptop. Sign ticket to myself. Unable to log in remotely on a laptop. I get this error message. User account not authorized for remote. So unfortunately, the audio cut off on me whenever I was recording this, so I have to redo this last part of the remote desktop issue. So the one main problem could be is that you're not simply allowed to use remote desktop. So if you are just a regular user on the network, you're not allowed to use remote desktop because you're not a remote desktop person, administrator, or basically you're not an admin, or you're simply not allowed to do so. Some knowledge workers will have the ability to use remote desktop, but if you're not part of a group in Active Directory, there's basically a group that inside of Active Directory you'd be added to be allowed to use remote desktop. There's a workaround for this, and if you open up system, and now this is on the target remote computer, so the computer that you're trying to remote into, you can ask an administrator to add you in there so that way you can actually use it. So here it is, and you can check under related setting under remote desktop to see even if remote desktop is enabled on that computer. And it'll tell you right here, and it says make my PC discoverable in private networks, enable automatic connection from a remote device. That means that means that you can remote desktop into this computer remotely. But however, what I like to do is go to advanced system settings. And from here, it's much more cleaner, easier to understand. So in system properties, if you go to the last tab, it says remote. It says here remote assistance, allow remote assistance connection to this computer. This has to be checked. And also on the remote desktop here, this part of it has to be checked where it says allow remote connections to this computer. And then select allow connections only from computers running remote desktop with network level authentication. So this is a must in a business type of environment, meaning that network level authentication is your domain login, which is the same thing that you use to log into your computer. So when you sit down in a work environment and you try to log in, your login ID is a domain login, which is part of the network level authentication. Okay, now you can specify here which users can remote into or use remote desktop to connect to this computer. So if I simply select users here, I can add anybody in there and allow them to remote into it. So if I select add, here I can just type in somebody's name. So let's see here. I'm going to say first name, comma, last name. And if you simply select check names, what I would do, you have to be very specific here. You can copy paste their name in here and just select check name, and this will ping the main controller, which is also the Active Directory. It's part of the Active Directory, and where I should say Active Directory is part of the main controller, the server, where your login is. You say check name, and once it finds you, what it will do, it will change this to something like this, whatever your email address is. For example, this at work.com. This is indicator that it actually found you in the system, and it automatically just filled this out like this. Or you can just type in user's login ID, whatever they use to log into that computer. Just type in login ID, user's login ID. Select check name, and it's going to do the same thing. It's going to auto-populate with their email address. Then you select OK, and there you go. Might be a good idea to reboot the computer just in case, but that's all there is to it. All right, guys, I hope you liked this video. Thank you so much for watching. And I hope you have a wonderful year. Best wishes to you and your family.